So
Dude,
if you are,
before we do,
yeah, it
so
was
thank you
just
guys for
Grace.
joining on the Grace Show. Super appreciate it.
Oh
But we
man.
are so excited to break these down for real for you guys because something we agree on is that the Hawkeye show is doing so amazing. And of course, by name, this is all about, of course, Kate Bishop. Chill.
Seem a little dramatic here, okay? And we see Clint right here in the courtroom. People versus Clint Barton here, okay?
Amazing. And of course, by name, this is all about, of course, Kate Bishop. Chill. Let's
Okay.
go.
So when it comes down to this, let me switch it here, okay? We're going straight into the trial of Clint Barton, and it is the people versus Clint Barton here, okay? Now, I know it may seem a little dramatic here, okay? And we see Clint right here in the courtroom. And I wanted you all to experience this the first time because I actually put, some production into this, you know what I'm
It was so good.
saying?
But the world
Oh
will never
man.
see.
Yeah, they won't know what happened, you know. So as far as the people slash the internet versus Clint Barton. The reason why I wanted to hold on, I'm just triple checking it, making sure everything is good on this stream. We good? We Gucci? Listen, I may have to check this a couple times. Like I just want to make sure that we're. I have my notes here. Now the charges. I've added a little bit. I've actually put the charges up here.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
So as far as the charges against Clint Barton, it is the fact that he's quote unquote just human. He has no powers. Okay. Um, a lot of people, especially like after the SNL sketch, they were saying once he's out of arrows, he's pretty much useless. Then I posted up the meme as far as the Black Panther meme, okay, and it was a Civil War clip to where he introduces himself to T'Challa, and he's just like, "Hey, I'm Clint," and T'Challa's just like, "I don't care," and the internet kind of threw that out
Rolled
as
with it.
right. They rolled
Yeah.
with it as on some like he is nothing here, and like the last point I have is like the fact that people say that he is the weakest Avenger. Now, when it comes down to um that, okay, and my point of view, I am here to argue the fact that he is actually low key one of, or if not, the strongest Avengers that we do have here. Okay, now, Grace, I know you gave me like 5 minutes at the beginning of the last stream. If you could just give me an additional 5 minutes here to
I
explain my
expected nothing
case.
less. Expected nothing less. I was ready. Don't worry.
Okay, cool. All right. So as far as the defense here, and as far as why I believe Clint is the strongest Avenger. Okay. Now, when it comes down to him, just from when we first see him, okay, we saw him initially in Thor. It was a quick clip. But it came down to more so seeing him in the first Avengers. Now, the first point that I wanted to bring up is the fact that Loki chose him. Okay, uh, Loki could have chose anybody to control. It could have been more so somebody a position of power, in a position of power to kind of dismantle the Avengers, but he chose Clint specifically for the fact that Clint was that person able to pretty much take down Shield, the Avengers, pretty much break them. Okay, take down a helicarrier. He gave Loki the whole history of Romanoff, and there were so many reasons as to why I believe Clint was the perfect choice. You know, as far as if you wanted to choose somebody to take out the Avengers, choose somebody that's super low key that knows a little bit of everything in the background. You don't want to get somebody like that's pretty much in the main stage because if anything, they're more likely to see it coming. Okay, but Loki chose him. All right. Now, second point. I put when it comes down to it, I feel like this is where we actually got more shine from Clint. Okay, and by that I mean cheesy one-liners aside, we find out that he's the only Avenger pretty much smart enough to actually have a safe house. Now, I kind of took that when I was watching Age of Ultron to the point that like once the world was down, I guess the internet was down, Ultron took out the internet or whatnot, every system or whatnot. Why didn't anybody else? Why didn't Romanoff? Why didn't Tony Stark? Why didn't anybody have a place safe to go to? Like once they initially uh, got Hulk back from the rage that he was doing wherever he was, they were lost. They didn't know where to go, and Clint was the only one to have that, you know. And also, I made it a point to say that he was the only one actually um, aware of his surroundings to not really let Wanda take control of his mind. Now, when we're in Wakanda, right? They were in Wakanda, right, Grace? When they were trying to get the vibranium from Claw.
I You know something? I know they mentioned Wakanda,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because there was that scene where you have Bruce Banner and Iron Man, and they're like talking about where they can get like, or where tracking the vibranium.
right.
I don't know if it
If
was in Wakanda. I want to say it's not because we're
maybe,
in a
yeah,
factory
yeah,
that's run
yeah.
by Claw. So
Right,
I think it's definitely outside, but I think it was more so of like a side note of like Wakanda. So the nerds out there can be like, okay, we know who's coming. Like
right.
Black Panther is around the corner. But yeah, I think it was not definitely not inside Wakanda.
Gotcha. Well, the only point that I'm making is we have a super soldier. We have somebody in a armored suit that could detect the movement from anywhere, but yet it's like everybody, especially like even Black Widow and Captain America, they all fell to Wanda in that scene. And fortunately for Clint, he was the only one to actually see that coming and able to take her out, um, and get them out of there, basically. And then I think the last thing I had for Age of Ultron is he basically unintentionally gave us, the viewers, a reason to feel something for Pietro Maximoff, Wanda's brother. And by that, I mean, though his powers seem cool that he can move real fast, throughout the whole movie, he was kind of more so. He had those kind of like Tony Stark one liners. He was kind of funny here or there, but nobody really kind of felt anything until it came down to the point to where Ultron was about to kill Clint from the Quinjet, and uh, Pietro saved him. And it was in that moment, it was super heartfelt. I may even throw this hashtag heartstring point up early because that is going to come up later. But when it came down to it, that's when we started to feel something for him. And that was something unintentional by Clint, but it was because of Clint that we felt something. Now, moving on. Um, to Civil War, we actually start to see more of this, what I've put into quotes as like Big Brother Hawkeye here, and he kind of played a big brother, almost kind of like a big brother to Wanda in Age of Ultron by um, giving her the confidence to get out there and to keep fighting, even though she was a weak. She was at a weak point. She thought all was lost, but he was there for her. He made her confident enough to come back, get back in the game, and keep fighting alongside the Avengers. That showed team leadership right there. He was able to kind of pull things together, not only for her, but he knows that he's in a fight against robots with some bows and arrows, but that's not why he's weak. But all in all, I'm just saying this is a point to why he's strong. But moving on to Civil War, we see this big brother here take on, let's say, a mission, right? He was given a mission by Captain America to go to Avenger compound, and with the chance of having to go against Vision, a vibranium android, something that right now is known to be unbreakable, he took that chance, and he I think I called it grit. Like he had that grit to just like, all right, I'm gonna go in there and get her, and I'm going to have all of these trick arrows that I can actually possibly stand a chance. But even if it were in a lose lose situation, he knew what he had to do to convince Wanda to take over. So I don't think, like, I think I said it last time that if I was just like a regular human being with no powers and Captain just said, hey, like, I'm gonna need you to go in there and get Wanda. Yeah, Vision's protecting her, but you got to go in there. I'm gonna be on some
I'm out.
Cap. Yeah, Cap. This was real. First,
Retired.
he's unbreakable. I think I'm cool. I think I'm gonna stay retired. You know what I'm saying? I love my family. I think I'm just gonna sit this one out. But he did that. He came out of retirement, came back, and what else? He also, oh, like, say this point I said was like, I wrote it out as the weight of Civil War. Now by that I mean, to me, Civil War is maybe one of the most emotional movies out of the series, out of the MCU. We had a lot of stuff going on between Captain America, Iron Man, T'Challa, and Bucky Barnes. Right? They were the quote unquote stars of the show. But it came down to the point to where Clint, he actually carried some emotional weight himself. Like, it came down to the point to where he was fighting his bestie. What else was he fighting his bestie? And it came down to the end of the movie. He came out of retirement to help the Avengers, but at the end he ended up losing. He ended up having to go to jail on the raft in the middle of the ocean. So people don't really think about Clint being on that. It was just more so the Tony Stark and Captain show. But he ended up going to jail for 2 years along with Ant-Man and I can't say Wanda because Wanda escaped, but it was just more so Hawkeye and Ant-Man. So they were locked up. So he ended up losing trying to fight in Civil War. And that was a point to where I was like, okay, he's done everything. He has kind of given us more, but he ended up losing. So I kind of felt some type of way there. But I want to kind of fast forward into the mystery of this Ronin character, because I think I made it a point last time to say we didn't watch this commercial. Grace is smiling because she knows where this is going to go, right?
Yes.
So, say you didn't watch this commercial because they revealed who the Ronin was in the commercial in the trailer, which I'm not mad at. I'm not going to hate that reveal. But say you didn't see the commercial and you happen to go to the bathroom when Widow was having the holographic Zoom call with the other Avengers just to say they don't know what's going on with Clint and where he's at and who he's taking out. Like, say you didn't see this part, right, in the movie theater. We get to Tokyo, right? You see a hooded black figure take out the whole entire, or a whole entire Yakuza gang or Yakuza clan solo, all by himself with nothing but a sword, right? And it comes down to the end of that scene. You see him seen in the street, and before he reveals himself, if you were in this moment and you had missed all of that I mentioned before, you're shaking. You're like, who is this? This is, for me, is possibly another villain. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh my goodness, this is
Yep.
somebody else that the Avengers has to deal with. And he takes his hood off, and you see that it's Clint. And by this point, you're like, shit, this guy is badass. Okay, first, yes, I know that he was super badass with a bow and arrow, but now you see, after um after 5 years of not being blipped, right? We get a feel for this character now that he is a swordsman to the point to where he is taking out gangs left and right, and that just adds to who he is, to his strengths. And if by this point the crowd still thinks is weak. I don't know. I don't know how they can believe that this person is weak, you know? And I think now we're here to the hashtag heartstrings, okay?
Heartstrings.
Because when it came down to um the Avengers, right? Endgame specifically, he loses his best friend, okay? He loses Agent Romanoff. Bummer. Hashtag heartstrings. I'm gonna keep throwing that up that whole entire time, Grace.
See, after the first round,
Right.
like you have to. You
Right.
have to. You guys
Right.
don't get it. He said it like in three times in one
I
sentence.
sure did. I sure did. And then, like, after the initial Hulk snap, he gets a call and he gets to speak to his wife for the first time because she had been blipped away for 5 years. And um, right there, hashtag heartstrings. You know, you feel for him right there, you know? And then lastly, the movie ends with, again, Big Brother Clint and Wanda sitting by the lake and sharing a moment about their loved ones. Now, with these moments that I've mentioned here, along with everything else that's going on in these movies, I feel like Clint has not only shined as far as what he's capable of, but also he's been carrying a lot of emotional weight to these movies here, you know? And that's why I was actually excited to see that Disney Plus was coming out with the Hawkeye series, you know? And the fact that the Hawkeye series is more so about uh, like this Ronin character, that which we're gonna get to in a second. Uh, I feel like this shows that he is actually one of the strongest, if not the strongest character in the MCU. And by strongest, like I said before, it's not more so uh, strength. It's not by intelligence like uh, Tony Stark and the Hulk, but this is more so strongest as a strong character in the MCU, and I feel like he deserves a show. And I told Grace last week that if anything, this show is giving us what Black Widow didn't, and I feel like this is going in the right direction. Where I was more so hoping for more with Widow, because yes, Widow is another human being caught up in this Avengers universe, but so is Clint. And I was expecting a little bit more there, but they're actually giving us more here in this series. And I'm happy that Feige decided to do this. And I knew once this was going to be done, Disney is not going to invest in putting out a bad show. Okay? They're going to take the time, write out good scripts, plot lines, and everything like that, which by now, by episode 4, we're gonna get to it, but shit is getting real. I'm sorry I squeaked, but I got too excited, and I know Grace is
Voice
excited to talk
broke.
about.
That's just how intense things are getting.
Right,
Well,
Grace is
honestly,
excited, I'm
like,
sure.
oh,
Go for
I'm
it.
you have
Yeah,
no idea,
yeah,
no idea. But just kind of leaning back on a couple of things that you mentioned, I think the decision to make this a show, I so support it because overall we're just getting so much more screen time with this character who, much like Black Widow has been on like like on the sidelines for a lot of these movies just because, it's easier to be drawn by, Thor's hammer or Cap's pecs or Iron Man's like um but something this was initially like Hawkeye I believe, or I'm sorry, not Hawkeye, what's the actor what's the actor that plays Clint?
mm-hmm. Oh,
I'm asking
Jeremy
you.
Renner. Jeremy
There
Renner.
you go. I'm like, help me out here. I believe initially he was contracted to do a film, but then they switched gears into a show and he agreed and like, everyone was all for it. And, I think one of the things that we both agreed on Black Widow, the very few things that we did agree on is that the biggest flaw is that she only had one movie. And obviously, it took way too much time for that movie to come out. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's really the issue because they had to cram in so much stuff that we should have gotten in several different films. And maybe if it was like a TV show like this, we'd be able to see these characters in a much more intimate way, very similar to the way Loki kind of served for
Yeah,
us as well.
definitely.
So definitely Disney, Marvel, you guys are like killing it with the TV shows. I am loving it because it's like we're getting, 7 hours of a film
Right,
essentially because it's
right,
that quality for sure.
right.
Absolutely.
So yeah, like, and that just falls back onto what we talked about in a previous podcast, as far as like this all series so far that Disney Plus has come out with, not just Marvel, but I'm saying everything uh from Star Wars to even like National Geographic. Like, I even caught some of this Will Smith thing that they just posted up there, and everything is super high quality to the point to where you are just having low key movies broken down into chapters,
I feel like we're
and
treating the system.
right, right,
Yeah, it's
like I don't
either
have to go to
3 hour
like
long
AMC,
movie
right?
or
Exactly.
yeah, exactly, or this.
Yeah,
One or the other, guys. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
with everything that I just said as far as this trial, I believe I've come up with a pretty good case as to why Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye, is the strongest Avenger, or one of the strongest characters. And if y'all were to think otherwise, I'd be happy to oblige a conversation. I won't keep it heated on here just because I can't hear y'all, So I don't want to argue back and forth with text, So I'll acknowledge it, and Grace, I can bring Grace in and she can acknowledge this, but this is how I feel, and I think, Grace, maybe do you feel the same way or no?
I feel like you're just ready to convert everybody. You're like the Catholic Church
Yeah,
back in
yeah, man. You don't need powers,
True.
man. It's time for the regular people out here, So let's.
I think, yeah, no, I think, court is adjourned. We have made our point, guys.
Yes.
Like, he has earned his place. There's a reason why he has been in the past, like, 10 years he's been for since phase one. And I'm
Yeah,
happy to see that we're getting a lot of more content for him in this
definitely.
new phase. So,
Oh, one
absolutely.
last point before we get into episode 1, okay? Because I brought this up last time, and this is something that I do want to bring up here right now. The reason why I kept bringing up this quote unquote Big Brother Hawkeye to Wanda Maximoff is because with all these instances, I feel like with the direction that Wanda is going right here, right now in the MCU, like we can see she's going down a dark path. But it can come to the point to where I feel as if anything, maybe in the multiverse and that madness, or if it goes beyond that movie, I feel like Clint may be that staple to bring her back to reality, because right now she's getting lost in, I won't say an imagination, but she's getting lost to another reality, another possible universe. We don't know, but I feel like with their relationship, I feel like he may be the one to bring her back to the sacred timeline. Let's just say that.
I love that. Honestly, I mentioned this in the last one too. I love the highlights of their relationship because I think it's something that a lot of people don't bring up. It's not really a conversation I've seen like on like a lot of things I've looked at.
Right.
And it's something that I think, you see in every film that they're in together.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of Endgame, the film, starts to wrap up with a little like, hashtag heartstring
Right.
moment.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And especially with like the losses that they've both experienced, I feel like they're, like the love and the rapport that they have together. If anyone at this point is going to be able to bring her back down, like she doesn't know Doctor Strange like
Right.
that.
Right.
Cap is gone. It's like he's kind of the last remaining one that I can think of really that
Mm-hmm.
could still have a hold on her to bring her back into,
Precisely. Yeah.
yeah. So absolutely love it.
So, if anything, I may just clip this and just hold this for later. And if it comes true, I'm posting it on the IG. Just throwing it out there. But
That is all.
moving on to Hawkeye, the series. Okay. Episode 1. I have the image of the poster, which you see him, Kate Bishop, and is this pup called Pizza Dog?
Pizza Dog. It's called Pizza Dog in the comics